You action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Spider-Man themed Marvel Legends 6-inch SpiderWoman and Doppelganger Spider-Man figures from Hasbro. Now both of these are part of the Spider-Man Far From Home Molten Man Build-A-Figure wave. They come packaged in dark navy boxes as opposed to black like we normally see. Up at the top you've got the Legend Series logo. The figures are clearly displayed in the window box packaging. Down below you've just got the Spider-Man logo, since these are both comic book based figures, and then you've got the names of the characters. On the sides of the packaging you've got artwork for the characters, and then on the back of the packaging you have additional artwork and a brief bio for both. So here's a look at Spider-Woman, and here's a look at Doppelganger Spider-Man. And then down below that, you've got to look at all the figures in the wave that you need to get in order to complete the Molten Man Build-A-Figure. All right, let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging along with their other contents. Now for the Doppelganger figure, the only thing he comes with is an arm for the Molten Man Build-A-Figure. For Spider-Woman, she comes with the torso section, which is actually done in 2 different parts. And you'll see here that this has got some translucent plastic to it. And I will be taking a look at the Molten Man figure in its own review once I've looked at all the figures in this wave. So be sure to check back for that. Besides the Build-A-Figure piece, she also comes with this alternate right hand that is shooting her webbing. And the webbing is done with this semi-translucent plastic. It's got almost a purple tint to it, and it's kind of curved shape, and the hand is done with just the white glove. And so what you want to do is you just pop the hand out that you want to replace, and again this is for the right hand, and then you just pop in this web shooting hand. Okay, now for the figures themselves, starting with the Doppelganger Spider-Man. Now if you're not terribly familiar with this character, he actually first appeared in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. He was created by Adam Warlock's alter ego, the Magus, and he later appeared in other stories like Maximum Carnage. He's been known to work with Demogoblin and gone up against the likes of Carnage. So he's been around here and there. And probably the real reason why Hasbro made this character was because they could easily reuse the body of the 6-armed Spider-Man they recently released. It does incorporate the same parts, the same torso and the same legs. You do have different feet, and you have different hands, and you've got a different head, and they've darkened the colors on the figure. But for the most part it is the same body. Now with the head sculpt, this version, you've got Spider-Man with the open mouth. That's in keeping with the comics, and he's got the big teeth. Doppelganger Spider-Man was basically an evil version of Spider-Man, and you've got the webbings there that is actually sculpted into the mask there, similar to what we saw with the 6-armed Spider-Man. So overall nice detail. I do like the pearl white color they used on the eyes, and you've got some sculpting detail on the eyes, and that picks up the light. It's very reflective, which I like. And then again, he's got the big sharp looking teeth. For the rest of the figure, you do have the seam that comes down the neck, which kind of stands out a little bit. And then you've got the webbing that is all sculpted throughout the body. Again, similar to what we saw with the 6-armed Spider-Man. You've got the spider symbol here on his chest, which is also sculpted. And then you also have the spider symbol on the back there. You've got some sculpting detail in the blue portions as well to give you that kind of texturing look to it, which is nice. This figure, like with the 6-armed Spider-Man, does have 6 arms. He does have the different hands though, so he's got these more deformed looking hands, which only has like 3 fingers. And the way they've done this on this side, the left side, you've got an open hand, a closed fist, and an open hand. And then on the right side, you've got closed, open, and closed. And if you want to if you want to give them closed, closed, open, or whatever, however you want to mix it up, you can do that. You can take the hands off and kind of move them around. And you do get the little peg joints that are left unpainted, like we often see with Spider-Man figures. You've got the darker colors on this one as opposed to the 6-armed Spider-Man. And then again with the feet, you've got those deformed looking feet with the 3 toes. Okay, now on to the classic Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman figure. So if you're not terribly familiar with this character, she actually first appeared in the pages of Secret Wars, and she actually based her outfit on Spider-Man's symbiote outfit, hence why it's got the black and white colors. and she has since taken on different identities. You know, when they brought back the original Spider-Woman, she's the second character to take on the name Spider-Woman, but since changed her name, I think her last identity was Madam Web 2. She seems to like copying other characters, but she has no real connection with the original Spider-Woman, and she has appeared on teams like West Coast Avengers, which later became ForceWorks, and she was even in the ForceWorks animated series, so that's where maybe many of you recognize her from. Now with the head sculpt, you got the long hair that comes down the back. It's done with a rubber material, so that is going to limit some of the head movement. She's got the mask that covers her eyes, and then the white eyes, very Spider-Man-like, and then the skin tone, most of her face is exposed with, the skin tone looks pretty good, and she's got the lipstick. I do want to note here where the nose meets the mask, it looks like there's a little bit of bleeding, where the skin tone is bled onto the black. And then with the hair, she's got this, her hair color is a reddish color, so they've given us these orange and dark browns, and then this lighter color is a wash effect for added texturing. One thing I do want to note here is I have this little splotch on the hair, not a big deal, but it looks like, you know, maybe they messed up the wash effect a little bit there, so it looks more like a dot than, you know, actual just texturing. And then you've got the way, I like the way the hair is sculpted here on the back. You've got this strand that comes out here on the side, and the hair comes down her back and covers her spider symbol there on the back. That's painted on there white. You can see there's a hole in the back there because this is a reuse of a previous female mold, and looks pretty good here on the back. It's pretty straight and everything on the back here. I got a little bit of bleeding, black and white where the black and white meet, and you see that kind of throughout the figure. Same down here on the legs. She's got the white that comes up to her thighs, and got a little bit of bleeding here, and then you got the white that comes up almost to her shoulders, and then you've got the white here on her symbol on the front, and that's painted as well. Now the symbol here on the front, unlike the back, seems like it's a little bit crooked to me. It's hard to say 100% because, you know, you've got that torso joint and you can move it and rock it and stuff, but you know, as much as I've tried, that's really about as straight as I can get it, and it just seems a little bit off to me. Not a big deal, but just seems like it's a little bit crooked. And for regular hands, this one comes with 2 open hands, and we've seen these hands on previous female figures before. Okay, so for the Spider-Woman figure, she stands just under 6 1/4 inches tall, and then the Doppelganger Spider-Man, he stands right about 6 inches. So Spider-Woman is a little bit taller. Okay, and here's a look at the 6-armed Spider-Man along with the Doppelganger Spider-Man. And again, since these use mostly the same body parts, they're pretty much the same height. And you've got to wonder if a man spider figure isn't in the works that'll use this mold as well down the road. Okay, for Spider-Woman, here's a comparison of the symbiote Spider-Man figure, and you can see Spider-Man is a little bit taller. Here's a comparison of Hasbro's modern Spider-Woman, the original Spider-Woman, and these two are pretty close to the same height. And then finally, here's a comparison of an Iron Man figure and US Agent, Marvel Legend figures from Hasbro, and these are characters that Spider-Woman has served with on teams like Avengers West Coast and ForceWorks. Spider-Woman also briefly served on a version of Alpha Flight with US Agent as well. So for articulation, starting with Doppelganger, you can turn his head to the left and to the right. It's on a ball hinge joint, so he can look down good, and he can actually look up really good as well. You get a little bit of head pivot, but not too much. Now with the arms, you've got the hinge joints at the shoulders, so with the top arm, you can rotate that one all the way around, no problem. It gets a little more tricky with the others, but you can still rotate. Same with the bottom one. You just have to kind of do it around the other 2 arms when you're doing that. But you've got that standard hinge movement. There's no kind of butterfly joints or anything, and you can get the arms out good. You get bicep swivels on each arm. You get double hinged elbows on each arm, and then you get rotating wrist with hinges with each pair or each hand. So you got up and down movement there. There is no midsection as articulation, as I mentioned before. There's no waist swivel, so very limited there at the midsection. You've got the hinges at the legs, so you can do the splits good. You can get the leg forward good, and then you can do the leg back pretty good as well. You've got a thigh swivel. You've got a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee. You've got a boot cuff swivel. You've got hinges on the feet, so up and down movement. And then you do have ankle articulation. And then with this one, you have no peg holes on the bottom of the feet. With Spider-Woman, you can turn her head to the left and to the right. Again, you do have that long hair, so it limits some of the movement, but you can still turn the head pretty good there. And then she can look down really good, but she can't really look back because of the hair. You really don't get much in the way of head pivot with this one either. With the arms, you can get the arms out good. You've got good rotation there at the shoulder. You do not have a bicep swivel. You've got a rotation at the elbow. And of course, because it is a female Marvel Legend, you only get the single hinged elbow. You've got rotation with the hands, and you have hinges on the hands, so up and down movement there. You've got a midsection joint, so you can rotate and you can pivot to the left and the right. Really can't crunch forward and can look back about that much. Does not have a waist swivel. With the legs, can only do the splits that much. You can get the leg forward good and up high, and then for the back movement, you can get it out and back about that much. You've got a thigh swivel. You've got a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee. And then with the feet, you have up and down movement with the hinges, and you do have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet for this one. Okay, so that's my review. So between the 2 figures, I'd probably recommend the SpiderWoman over the Doppelganger Spider-Man, mainly just because I like the SpiderWoman character better. Both are pretty basic figures. I've got a few blemishes on the SpiderWoman figure where the black meets the white, and I swear that symbol on her front chest looks a little crooked to me, but I do like the character. It's another addition to my West Coast Avenger team. As far as the Doppelganger Spider-Man, you know, to me it's just not that exciting of a character. It's a reuse primarily of a figure that we just got, and the biggest downside to that one is the lack of articulation there at the midsection. I know why they had the lack of articulation because of the multiple arms and everything, but it would have been nice if they could have given us some added movement there, especially for a Spider-Man based character. Now both of these figures, along with the rest of the wave, has started to see a limited release. I'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment, let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And of course, you can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I have links to all those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.